We're live, pal. And do one of those.
You need one of the clicky things.
I do.
What's that called?
I have no idea what it's called. I feel like I should know what it's called.
The clicky thing.
It's called the clicky thing they use in movies.
Yeah, it's the movie clicky thing.
Mm-hmm.
TM, trademark.
Right.
It's mine now, I own it.
Damn it. What else are we going to call it then? The movie
I feel
clacky
like
thing.
The clacky, I feel like it probably is named after the first person to use it. It's probably like
You think so?
Like the
I'm going to look it up.
It's like the Wilson Slate or something like that.
I love how we were going to stay on track for this podcast and it's already... I'm not even recording.
Okay.
All right.
All right, now we're recording.
Okay, now which is good because we're so off track already.
I'm still going to look up the name of that movie clacky thing, though.
Yeah.
Movie clicky thing. We're definitely staying on track. Why do they click that board thing before filming a movie? It's a clapper board. Okay, so we weren't really that far off.
We weren't far off.
It's a clapper board.
I genuinely thought it would be like named after. I would have put money on it being named after like the first person to use it.
Let's see. Well, it's invented by F.W. Clapper. Actually,
that can't be real.
it's not. F.W. Thring is the inventor of it, father of actor Frank Thring, who later became the FT Studios in Melbourne, Australia. But that's on Wikipedia, which how often is that accurate?
It's accurate.
Oh, it's also known as a dumb slate. That is real.
Okay.
Clapperboard.
See, I feel like, because I said slate, I feel like I'd heard slate used in that context.
Right, but we called it a clicker board, clapper board, clacker board.
But all you have to say is like the movie clicky thing.
The movie clicky thing.
Knows what you're talking. Everyone knows what you're talking about.
Right. But anyway, we're recording this video too, so I did one of those clap things, and you're like, I need a movie clicky thing.
Yeah.
Jon Orton is back.
I forgot the name of it.
Hey, buddy.
I'm back. Hey.
You're back.
Yeah.
We're in your living room right now in Bakersfield because I'm, once again...
in beautiful downtown Bakersfield.
Woohoo!
Which actually is downtown Bakersfield.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Is it beautiful, though?
Nope.
Okay. That's fair.
Nope.
And once again, I'm on my way to Vegas. Thank you, as always, for letting me crash here.
Always.
Appreciate it very much.
It's like a regular thing.
It is. I don't mind that I'm like... going to... I like Vegas. I don't mind that I'm going to Vegas somewhat frequently. You don't like it?
I hate it.
Why?
I don't drink.
I'm
not a party
Well, neither
guy.
do I.
I'm not. You're more social than I am. I am not social at all.
Yeah, but like I'm social to a point, and then I'm just like, okay, fuck everybody. I just want to go back and go to sleep.
You're social to a point. I am not social to a point
at all.
Like no.
Oh, I see.
Like
yeah.
I don't like. When I worked shows, I'd go to Vegas fairly regularly.
As a wrestler, for those who don't know and didn't hear that first podcast, John is a former pro wrestler.
Yeah, if you can call it that. I wasn't.
You were a former pro wrestler.
Yeah, I was a former
Tommy
pro
Angels.
Tommy.
One half of the with Thor Wolfgang von Slomsky.
Von Slomsky, real name.
What Hollywood Angels?
Hollywood Angels.
That's right. It's all coming back to me.
I was also half of Brutal Inc. with Brawlin' Bo Cooper. There's my dog.
It's a lot of that's a lot of bees.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Brawlin' Bo Cooper.
Brawlin' Bo Cooper, Brutal Inc. Brawlin' Bo Cooper, who was still at it.
Hey there, Delilah. Delilah's John's dog Delilah just entered into the frame and is figuring out what to do next. If you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're just listening to it, you're missing a lot. It's adorable. You should be watching this on YouTube anyway.
She's an old girl. She's plotting how to get pets.
She's blind or deaf, right?
She's deaf. Yeah. She's deaf
Aw,
now.
she's so cute.
There
Hi,
she
Delilah.
is, going to get pets from AJ.
Going to get pets. Oh, look at her! Look at her! She's so cute.
I've known you for a very long time.
Yeah, we have back to like 2004. I want to say.
Like that,
No. There's recording equipment there.
Over here.
Delilah,
we're calling the dog that can't hear, so I'm gonna
right.
I'm gonna bang on the table and hopefully she'll get it.
I think she's here. I'll just move my backpack in front of her so she knows not to. Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, we're doing a great job of keeping part 2 on track.
It's on track.
This is a Tough Enough podcast, by the way. Shout out to everybody listening to this on Patreon, by the way. I appreciate your support.
I appreciate you supporting AJ.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you get that sweet Tough Talk bonus content. At least that's the plan. If this turns into a good enough conversation, maybe it'll go on the main feed. But like you warned me last time where you're just like, don't get your expectations high. So this may just be you and I just bullshitting. I don't know. I should never say, hey, it's a bonus episode when it might be a main thing. And I should never say it's a main thing when it might be a bonus episode. Right. So however you're listening to this, I just appreciate you tuning in. This is part 2. Part 1 was mostly about Thor Wolfgang von Slomsky.
Yeah, like old road stories that,
Right.
unless you were there for them, you do not care about.
And we also recorded it at like 1 a.m. So
Right,
it was
after you had done like a 6-hour drive,
it's
and I've
fucking
been awake for
miserable.
like 2 days, and
so tired. Yeah, you couldn't sleep. That's right. Which you can't anyway. But
No,
you
I don't
like
sleep.
really couldn't sleep.
I really couldn't sleep.
Really
yeah.
couldn't. All right. So
Okay.
Tough
Tough
enough. Yeah, that's
talk
why
about
we're
tough
here.
enough.
Let's do it. Well, so we're gonna keep. I mean, we can go off of tangents because you're very good at
I
tangents.
am. I'm great at tangents.
But we are going to. I'm gonna make a more deliberate effort to just circle back to tough enough.
So am I.
Okay, great,
Yeah, we're on the same page.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
We're going to talk as we normally just have random conversations about shit as we normally do, but we're always going to circle back to tough enough.
Correct.
That's the plan.
that's the goal, at least.
We're on the same page. Yeah, that's the goal.
I
Always
mean-
on the same page.
Right. So, tough enough. It was airing in 2011. Let's see. Were you still wrestling in 2011?
That was sort of at the tail end.
Okay.
I think I was picking at matches here and there, but at that point I had realized the career was not going to happen for me.
Yeah. Well, what was
So-
that like? Was there like a coming to terms? Like, I mean, duh, we're gonna get back to tough enough, but like, I want to know where you were at the time, and also how you kind of came to grips with like, okay, if the dream was to be a pro wrestler and make a career doing it, that is not an easy thing to, come to grips with. Like,
Right.
it's not going to happen.
Right. And honestly, yeah, that was because we've talked about this before, and this is relative to Tough Enough.
Sure.
I think it's a little different now, and I'd be interested to hear the perspective from.
Thank you.
I'm checking the counter here.
But you're
and
getting you're getting dog kisses.
some
anyway.
puppy love again.
Yeah,
Check it out on YouTube. It was adorable.
it was super cute.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to hear the perspective from people that are getting into the business now,
Mhm.
because then there was no AEW. The indies were not looked at in the way they were now. Obviously,
There wasn't even a performance center.
no, there wasn't.
there was
they had a handful of developmental territories.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obviously pre NXT, pre Florida Championship Wrestling. It was when they had
Pre OVW.
Yeah,
I mean,
OVW was a thing, but like not like it was.
And OVW is Ohio Valley Wrestling, by the way, which I think is in Louisville, Kentucky.
It's in Louisville, Kentucky. It's now owned by Al Snow.
Right, I heard.
Al Snow owns it now.
I hear he's doing great things with it too.
Yeah.
But for a long time, OVW was the WWE's official development territory.
Right. It was sort of like NXT. It was a more indie version of NXT.
The indiest version.
It
It was
as much as
still.
a guy. Yeah.
It was still like. I mean, I
Jim
think.
Cornette ran it at the time. Jim
Right.
Cornette and Nightmare Danny Davis.
Oh man, it's been a long time
I'm
since
an
I've heard that name.
encyclopedia of wrestling knowledge.
Both of us are,
Yeah,
but I think
we
you have
are.
me beat by like a hair.
I have this skill of just remembering, and you probably picked. It's not just wrestling, like music too. It's like I
Sure.
just pick up the most random pieces of information, and they just stick in my.
What was the
head.
main event of In Your House, April 1996?
That one. See, I'm bad with dates.
Okay.
That's the specific dates I'm bad with. If I actually saw like a DVD cover or a poster, I could tell you everything about that show.
Got it.
Dates I'm not good with.
Okay.
I mean, if I saw a poster, I could tell you everything.
Gotcha. Okay. So steering back to where you were on
where
your career.
it was. So like at the time, there wasn't like your goal when you started wrestling school, when you paid your money to go to wrestling school and you took your first bump, the goal was, for the most part, WWE. I mean, there was always those guys that were just, wanted to give it a shot, put their foot in the water, and we're content to be a weekend warrior. The majority of us, our goal was to headline WrestleMania.
Right.
Like that was it. That's why you got into the business. WCW was done. ECW was done. I always followed Japanese wrestling pretty closely, but business in Japan at the time wasn't great.
Yeah.
And
Who were the top promotions in Japan at the time? Because I hadn't gotten familiar with the Japanese wrestling scene or culture until far later.
At the time, it was around the time Misawa had left All Japan, like the All Japan exodus, and started Noah. And New Japan was sort of number 3 behind like All Japan and Noah.
Because New Japan
the
is now
time.
far and away top of the heap in Japan, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, some would say some of the best wrestling in the world.
Sure.
I mean, plenty of people would call Okada the best wrestler on the planet, and I think there's a definite solid argument for that.
Who else is in that conversation in 2021?
You got Okada, you've got Tanahashi. AJ Styles is an obvious one. Will Ospreay.
Yep.
I think most people would say Will Ospreay. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Because
Okay.
I think Will Ospreay is great. He's an amazing talent, but I think for somebody to be in like legitimately in that conversation, because as a pro wrestler, your whole job is to entertain the crowd and pop the crowd. Like
Right.
if you know you've got the crowd sitting on their hands, you're not doing your job.
Right.
So you've got guys like AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and Okada, even though you know he's worked the majority of his career in Japan, that have worked different style matches, that have worked in different environments and been able to succeed in those environments, been able to draw money.
But does it not depend on the type of pot, because a Japanese crowd is far different from an American crowd?
You know, it is, but Bullet Club changed a lot of that.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
They Americanized it a little bit?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, they brought in a lot of. I mean, that was the whole thing behind Bullet Club. You know, when it was the Elite.
Right.
I still love Bullet Club. I'm still a big Bullet Club mark. But you know, the thing was, they were gaijins, they were foreigners, and they did American heel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's sort of not as prevalent in New Japan as it is in American wrestling. Oh, it's slipping off.
Yeah, it's slipping
Okay,
off.
there we go. Now we're good.
Yeah.
Now we're good. But it's more present now than it was before.
I see.
And not just from Bullet Club. So it has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But as far as top guys, in the world right now, I mean, like I said, there's Kazuchika Okada,
Mm-hmm.
Will Ospreay. I can't not put Kenny Omega. I mean, just from match quality.
Sure.
Moxley would be another one. I'd put
right.
Moxley.
So that's like a 5 and an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
None of those guys are I can't say none of those guys. I have some of my favorite. I think Pete Dunne is great.
Yeah.
I love Pete Dunne.
Tough as nails.
Pete Dunne's one of
He
my
just looks like
favorites.
one of those dudes that'll just like beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah,
for looking at him wrong.
Yeah, he really. And the cool thing about him is he's like 25. Like he's
that
super
young?
Yeah, he's really
Whoa.
young. Yeah.
So he was tearing it up in NXT then at like 21.
Yeah, and then like Tyler Bate is like even younger than him.
Right. Well, Tyler Bate won the NXT UK,
The
championship.
Yeah, the match he had with Walter was great.
Yeah.
That's another guy I love.
Yeah.
Walter.
What a tank.
Yeah, seriously, love him.
Anyway,
But
we're going to circle back.
But circling back. So yeah, at the time when I started training, I started my training. Was born in Bakersfield, moved to Seattle, and did my training in Vancouver, Canada, which was there. Keep it. I should have grabbed my mic stand. I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to stop. But I'll just remember, keep it close. But I did my training in in Vancouver, Canada, with Matt Bourne, the original Doink the Clown, and some of it with Bad News Allen,
Okay.
also known as Bad News Brown.
Right.
And we were talking about this earlier, like super, super old school.
Right.
Like basically, like we were taught to take bumps, hit the ropes and things like that. And then they would throw us into like opening matches with vets. And like I learned to take a suplex in a match with Matt Bourne.
In a battle royal, no less.
In a battle royal.
Which is a terrible place for a suplex.
Yeah.
You're going to land on somebody's ankles.
Well, it was actually like a Rumble style battle royal.
I see. So,
Yeah,
well...
It was a
still.
little bit better. So you didn't have 20 guys in the ring. There were 5 guys in the ring, but still not great.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, not great. But basically, like it was made very clear, you are there, like we were cannon fodder. Like we were there to have bodies in the ring to be thrown out. And in the match, Matt grabbed me and he forearmed me right across the face, and I thought my jaw was broken.
Sure.
And he hooked me for a suplex, and he was communicating the entire time. Before he hit me in the jaw, he told me, "Don't bump, just sell it." He said, "I'm going to hook your head," and then he did. And he said, "I'm going to suplex you." And I'm thinking, "Oh shit, I've never taken a suplex." I knew how to take a front bump.
Right.
He says, "Put your hand on my hip, take a front bump, go."
Did he know you haven't?
He was my trainer. Yeah, he knew.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that and that's how. In his era, that's how they did it, basically.
Wow, trial by fire.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's how they would smarten you up. It's like they would teach you how to bump. And the whole time, like, obviously, I mean, I read Wrestling Observer. I was in wrestling school, for Christ's sake. I knew it was a work.
Right.
But he still kayfabed us, like, pretty much the entire time.
Which was, I'm sure, how he was taught.
Exactly.
Even older school.
Yeah.
Ancient school.
Yeah, ancient school.
Back when it was still real, damn it.
Right, exactly. And then that's how he smartened us up was in matches, teaching how to take moves in matches. It was literally like Karate Kid, when he's doing Danielson's doing the wax on, wax off, and he realizes, hey, now I know how to block. It was the same thing. Like we learned how. We were taught these basic bumps and movements, and then as we're in matches, they're telling us what to do. Bourne was great at that, guiding us. And there was a couple other guys. Michelle Starr was another one. Like these vets that were great at actually being in matches and carrying us and being fully aware of what we knew, and how to apply those, and how to turn those into functional moves
without making you look like a bunch of greenies.
Right, exactly. So there were things like, suplexes, body slams, headlock takeover, snapmares. I actually learned that I knew how to do those in matches.
I see.
They would basically say, hey, that bump, I'm going to grab you this way and you do that bump.
Right. Putting the pieces together.
Yeah, exactly.
But doing it in a live show environment, which is... you don't have time to think or second guess yourself, or when you're doing a Beal or something, it's like you if you're in front of a crowd, it's like, oh, I guess we're going, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. And then being in front of a crowd, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now, and training in rolling when we're training is totally different than being in competitions. I compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you don't really know where the holes in your game are, or how good or how bad you are, until you're actually in competition. It's the same thing, pro wrestling. You can think you have everything together because you're running great practice matches, in the gym, but then you get in front of a crowd,
a little different,
and you you can't remember your spots, or worse, the crowd doesn't give a shit about you.
Right. Well, when you're practicing in front of nobody too, you don't know if the crowd's going to give a shit about you.
Exactly.
So
exactly. But again, circling back, so I got into the business. I started a bit late. I started by the time I really started, I was already in my late 20s.
Okay.
So, and I was...
Hey, better late than never, though. Anybody listening to this, if you've ever wanted to do it, you better fucking do it now.
No, absolutely. I mean, look at, Diamond Dallas Page.
Right. Batista.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they were 35 before they even started.
Right. I mean, DDP was close to his 40s when he made his in-ring debut.
Right. And you got, like you said, AJ Styles, one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's in his 40s. Randy Orton's in his 40s. You can still crank out some damn good years.
Bradshaw didn't have his good run until he was well into his 40s too.
Right.
But Shawn Michaels. His second run was better than his first.
Yep.
And he was...
When you look at that body of work, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So don't let age stop you. But at the same time, I was also much heavier.
Yeah, that's true.
I was well into the 300-pound mark, the 300-pound zone. So
for those who don't know or didn't listen to the first episode, you were flirting with the 500 mark.
Yeah, I was around the 490.
And you're currently
I just jumped on the scale. Currently 253, which is still about 30 pounds. I put on the COVID weight,
right?
And I'm already down like 5 or 6 pounds.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm back on it. I did put on a little bit of weight, and put a little bit, and it'll continually be a thing.
Sure.
I've gained and lost weight my entire life, but at my lowest I was around 220, which put my weight loss at 257 pounds.
Amazing.
So
amazing.
Again, I've said this and I can't say it enough. You had a lot to do with that, and you've helped me a lot, because we've been friends for a very long time.
Sure.
And you've seen me go up and down, and you have supported me every single time. And every single time, I put that weight back on. I never got any sort of judgment I was never made to feel bad about it from you. All I got was just more encouragement. Well, you did it before, you can do it again.
Yeah. Well, you're the one who puts in the work, and I'm super proud to see your progress, and I love telling people that you're half the man you used to be.
Yeah, which is the greatest thing, which is totally, and I've used that so many times, which is true. It's I'm literally half the man I used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, you're welcome, buddy.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
But yeah, I realized that I had started, too out of shape, too old, and I saw other guys that were I was on shows with other guys like, TJ Perkins, Daniel Bryan.
Oh, shit.
I was on some early shows with Cena.
Right.
And I realized that they had something that I didn't, and at the time I felt like I was putting everything I had into making it in the business. And I had convinced myself that I was, but I wasn't. You know, it's like I didn't put the effort into succeeding in the business that I put into, you know, losing weight.
Right. Well, losing weight though was really
it was a lot.
It was do or die.
Yeah, my life depended on it, and I had this passion for the business and to succeed in the business, but for whatever reason, like that thing that makes you dig deeper, that thing that, you know, the guys that make it do, for some reason that just never clicked. But even if it did, you know, and I'm not, this is just for me. This is not for anybody that's, you know, in their 30s or 40s or wanting to get into the business. I'm not saying this applies to everybody. This applied to me. You know, for me, I was, you know, too old, too out of shape. And I realized, and I'm not going to name any names. That makes me sound bitter. There was a specific promoter that you and I worked with quite a bit. Did you? I can name names if you want me to. Actually, just for,
up to you. Like I'm the purpose of this podcast is not to ruffle feathers or to stir shit up.
And I don't. Yeah, that's why I'm not gonna name any names.
Tell me off air.
Okay, I will.
I have a guess of who you're referring to, but I don't want to. Tell me off air.
Yeah, you're probably right. But there was a guy there was a promoter that we were working with quite a bit, and he had actually. I was working a lot of places, and he had, you know, kind of did the promoter thing, you know, hey, you know, just stop taking these other bookings and just, you know, work my shows and
so fucking dumb.
And we'll do this.
That's so dumb. If you're an independent wrestler and unless they've signed you to a contract that allows you to make a living, the kind of living you want from just working those shows, don't listen to that bullshit. Work everywhere.
Right. Exactly. And I realize that now. And so it's like, I kind of take responsibility for like falling for the bullshit.
Well, but also on the other side of that though, you do as you're told when you're young and green in wrestling.
Right.
And you think all advice you're getting is like the right advice.
Right.
So there's, you know, this is just more of that carny bullshit that I just hate.
And absolutely. And the thing that got to me was the carny bullshit. I let a lot of the negative feedback that I got get to me, and it just sort of like really sucked my passion.
That's
like
a fucking shame.
And to be honest, it's never fully came back. It's never fully came back.
Yeah, but fuck those people.
Yeah, I mean, fuck those people. I mean, it fucked with my self-esteem for a while, and it doesn't anymore.
You're right.
But like I don't have a passion for the business like I used to, which is kind of good because now I can just sort of look at it like a fan again.
Right. That is the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
Because when you get into the business, and I talked about this, I think when I talked with Zachy about it, it's like you need to switch your perspective from being a fan to being a performer.
Right.
Which oftentimes implies, I don't know that anybody explicitly says it, but it's like that means you need to stop being a fan, which should never happen. You should never stop being a fan of wrestling. You should never stop allowing yourself to enjoy it and get lost in the magic when there's a beautiful story being told with four amazing or however amazing performers.
Absolutely. I was on a show with Christopher Daniels, and I was on a lot of shows with Christopher Daniels. And yeah, I'm totally name dropping here because it's relevant. You know, we knew each other like on a first name basis, and you know, whenever I was at a show, you know, I was always really respectful. And if there were vets on the show, I would always ask them, you know, hey, how should we do this? I would always ask them for advice, and you know, because I genuinely wanted to know like how to perfect my craft. And also, I wanted to show that respect. And you know, I would always ask him, you know, for advice, just on little pieces, you know, what to do here and there. And it was always great advice. But you know, it's like we knew each other at this point, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna be a mark here for a minute and just get a picture with you finally." And which was weird because at this point, like we were kind of friends, you know. And he said, "Man, we're all marks, or we wouldn't be here."
Right.
Which was totally true.
It's a great point.
Yeah, you know, you've got Christopher Daniels, you know, who at the time was like, he was the name. If you would ask any smart fan, you know, who's one guy that should be in the WWE that isn't, it would be Christopher Daniels.
Yeah.
He was like the indie darling and is still an amazingly underrated talent and will always be on the top of the list of like some of the most underrated talent, one of the most underrated talents ever.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's also going to be able to work at a level that most people could only dream of until the day he decides to retire.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and he still is. I mean, how old is he now?
He's got to be in his mid or late 40s by now.
It's got to be late 40s.
There.
Yeah, late 40s. But yeah, awesome guy.
Do you know he was being considered to be the higher power?
I did know that.
Okay.
Which honestly, it's like I can't picture. Like
I can't either. Like A higher power. I mean, the reveal with Vince was great, but I
hated the reveal with Vince because I thought it was so obvious.
Really? I had no idea.
I hated it.
I had no idea. I remember the internet just being abuzz and being like, it's going to be Mike Tyson. It's going to be Jake Roberts coming back for revenge after the 96 King of the Ring, which would have been amazing.
That's what I remember that, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. But like, no disrespect to Christopher Daniels, but to use that to introduce a new character.
Because at the time, the internet wasn't really a thing. Like
it was just starting.
If it happened now, if Chris Daniels showed up on Raw now, holy shit,
God.
the internet would explode.
Sure it would. But like, also to a WWF at the time audience in 1999, like, and again, no disrespect, but who the fuck was Christopher Daniels?
Right.
Who the fuck was the Fallen Angel?
I mean, the smart fans, because this was during the boom period.
Oh yeah.
So you had like a lot of fans that had no idea that wrestling outside of WWF existed.
Right.
They had no idea. There were plenty of fans that were in the stands at Raw that night that probably had an indie show down the street from their house the weekend before and had no idea.
Right.
Like
until the internet became the thing.
Exactly. So again, not taking anything away from him or his talent, which is great. It's just the internet not being what it was. He didn't have the name recognition then, and I think a lot. I mean, there would have been some pops. There would have, she just wants your attention so bad.
Oh, hi Delilah.
There would have been some. There would have been some pop. It would have got a pop from some smart fans, but you wouldn't have had like that Road Warriors, Ultimate Warrior, Edge return.
Right. And if you're throwing somebody into the mix between Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and Vince McMahon, you need somebody who's going to make you go, holy shit.
Right. Because they were building up for a big reveal.
Right.
Like it wasn't, there's the higher. It was played up like this was somebody major.
Right. And it was Vince.
And it was Vince.
And he needed the heat, and they were teasing a face turn with him, even showing that video like, I want to see that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But for me, I knew it was Vince.
Yeah. You know what I want to do? From here on out, and I want to hear why you thought it was Vince all along, is every time we circle back, I'm like, I want to do like retrace our steps. Because right now we're like Christopher Daniels. You were doing shows with Christopher Daniels. We're getting back to when you were training and wrestling, and why you were winding down your career as Tough Enough was airing.
Right.
But now let's fast forward to how you knew it was Vince McMahon all along, because talking about angles from 30 to...
It couldn't have been anybody else. Because I didn't feel like it could be anybody else. I knew it had to be a big reveal, and I didn't feel like it could have been anyone other than Vince to really get that reaction.
Yeah.
Because they were teasing that face turn, I felt like that's the only person it could have possibly been. Because, The Undertaker would have been an obvious choice, but it wasn't. It obviously wasn't The Undertaker.
Right.
I thought, again, the only reason I knew it was Vince, because Vince would have been, at the time, Vince really liked putting it. I can't even say he really liked putting himself in the. It drew money.
It did.
A lot of people said it was his ego, and it was business. It was smart business. Vince versus Austin drew money.
Well, Vince versus Austin is what set WWF apart from everything.
Right.
Else.
That started the boom period, because it was everybody living like, who doesn't want to tell their boss to fuck off and flip him off and punch him in the face.
And like, there is no like. A face is only as good as the heel they're working with.
Right, exactly.
And so Vince McMahon just became the company's biggest heel by, quote, screwing Bret Hart.
Right.
And even though it was the right call for his company, which took me a long time to realize, because as a fan, I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
That's the excellence of... How
dare you?
Bled for this company and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But then, of course, if he's not going to drop the title...
it was the best thing for business.
Right. And the WWF is his life. Like, that's his everything. And so, of course, he's going to protect it as much as he can.
When people shit on Vince McMahon, because, I'm not saying he's great, but you have to remember that the wrestling that we all love would not exist without Vince McMahon. If Vince McMahon had never been born, the wrestling that we all know and love would not be a thing.
And the wrestling that we all know, and not all of us, but that most of us fell in love with, is the product of Vince's vision and work.
Right. You have to, the landscape, wrestling landscape pre-Vince McMahon and wrestling landscape post-Vince McMahon are entirely different.
Right.
Here's the thing, try to explain how important Vince McMahon is to the wrestling business, to a non-wrestling fan.
like compare him to somebody?
Yeah.
Fucking Steve Jobs.
And that's my first one. I mean,
is it really?
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, from that perspective, from the wrestling perspective, he changed the entire world. He created the wrestling world that we now live in.
Right.
Generally, everything was territorial. Everything was regional. It was not a billion-dollar business.
It was in front of hundreds or thousands of people.
Right.
Not, or, like single-digit thousands of people.
Right.
2,000-3,000 people. Not packed basketball arenas.
Not 30,000 people in the era of COVID.
Right.
So.
Okay, so let's retrace our steps real quick.
Yeah. So
Christopher Daniels. Let's see. Training. You had shows with him. You started late.
I started late. Started really out of shape. And on the time you were on Tough Enough, I was just working a few random shows.
Getting bigger.
Mainly, getting bigger.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It was pretty much just for Billy Blade.
Right.
Who was
he
a
running
friend of
Vendetta
ours.
at the time? Was that his? That was his, but
yeah, he was. No,
was he booking APW?
It was pre-Vendetta.
So then he was booking APW in Bakersfield. Was that his gig?
It was after Bakersfield.
Okay.
It was after Bakersfield. Yeah, it was after Bakersfield. He was running a few like spot shows around Santa Maria, and I'm talking it was maybe like once every other month.
Oh wow!
I was going to college at the time. I went back to college for graphic design.
That's right.
Because I remember. So we were like texting, we'd randomly text or message here and there, and then I knew that you had sent in a tape for Tough Enough,
right?
And then all of a sudden, you stopped replying.
Yeah,
and I know how that stuff works. I know that once you get on, once you're like, hey, you're on the show, you can't say shit,
right?
I know that.
Well, they literally take your phone and any means of communication.
Yeah, I assumed that was the deal, and
right?
Like I knew that. I just kind of put two and two together.
Yeah.
And I actually, once I put two and two together, I actually got up from my class, the class that I was in, and I texted you.
Oh, you mean like the Breaking Bad moment on the toilet where you're like it adds up and you're just like, oh shit.
I actually
wow.
got my class and I texted you, hey man, I just figured it out. I know where you're at right now. Really fucking proud of you, like really stoked.
Aw.
Like, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
At the time,
I feel bad because because when I fired up my phone again, it was
you
like
probably had
but
so many messages.
Yeah.
Because again, we know so many of the same people. Everyone was talking about it.
Right. That's weird. Oh my god, I'm excited to get like what people were saying as it was happening, because that's something that I've never even occurred to me to ask about until just this moment.
Because I'm not sure if like the NorCal Wrestling Board is still a thing.
Yeah,
you might have to like find
dig
use
up
the internet like Wayback Machine. From what I remember, all of the talk was really positive.
Oh, cool.
Which for internet wrestling community, anything overwhelmingly positive is rare.
Yeah,
we've talked about how toxic. Not just Obviously, I'm a wrestling fan, also a Star Wars fan, all the nerdy stuff I love.
Some very passionate, vocal fan bases.
Yeah, and they all end up being pretty toxic.
Yeah.
So I just pretty much stay away from it.
Of course, you have to like everything. Otherwise, why even make it? If somebody doesn't make something to your liking, then why should they even bother making it?
That's the thing about fandom, though. It's like they don't seem to love everything. They seem to hate everything.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Yeah,
I should have dripped it a little bit heavier, but it's like, man, I don't like this. Why'd you know what I mean? Make it like this. Like, fuck you.
I think
you
it was
make
Dave
one.
Filoni that said something like, nobody hates Star Wars more than the Star Wars fans.
It's true, and nobody hates wrestling more than wrestling fans.
Yeah. Nobody will shit on something more than their fan base.
Right.
More
it's
than the
true.
people that are passionate about, which I've never understood. Like, I don't understand the, NXT versus AEW. I like wrestling. I like watching wrestling.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think there's fun when you're on a side. It makes you feel like you're a part of a community, right?
Right.
Like,
I get that.
if you be a football fan, but
right.
if it's like Niners and Cowboys, which is, one of the long-standing feuds, and like, Niners, Cowboy. Like,
Which I've never understood. I've never understood football fan. I understand, you live in the Bay Area. I understand people from the Bay Area being 49ers fans. I understand them being Oakland A's fans. I understand them being San Francisco Giants fans. I don't understand like people from like Bakersfield being like Denver Broncos fans. I don't understand that.
Well, I think it's
weird.
I actually appreciate that a little bit more, because there is a blind allegiance to just like, yay, I'm geographically adjacent to this team, so I'm gonna cheer for them.
See, that's
I live
that's
near
how it makes
them.
sense.
That doesn't make
makes
sense
to me.
I don't think that makes sense. Like
I didn't say it's smart, but I understand where people are coming from. It's like the same reason, when the cheap pop, you come out and you say the name of the city.
Right.
It's sort of the same
it's just
thing.
like, do you feel so shitty about where you live that you need a sports team to make you feel better about it?
Yes.
But okay.
I think most people do. I should back up and say I'm not a sports fan. I've never been a sports fan. Unless it's people like hitting each other either for real or pretend.
Sure.
It just doesn't interest me. I've never been a sports fan. So I don't get sports fandom as a whole. But
yeah, I think it's a community thing.
it is. I mean, we all
It's a
have
tribal
this
thing.
innate need to belong. Again, it's like I get it. It's like I'm really into music. I'm really into punk rock, and I have been since I'm like in my 40s now. I have been since I was like 13, 14 years old.
Right.
It's been like a major part of my life, and it's because of there's that tribal. That thing, we all have that need to belong somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
And I found it. That's where I found it. I found it in music. I found it in punk rock and hardcore, and then other people will find it in sports teams.
Sure.
It's just the choice of sports teams. It just makes me wonder. I gravitated towards the music that I gravitated to because it made me feel something.
Sure.
It didn't just sound good. I felt it. I don't know if you remember WWE did those
Desire.
Yes, those were great.
Those
dude.
were great.
Those
Oh my God, they were
awesome.
so
I'd get
emotional.
goosebumps. Seriously, dude.
Oh,
I'd
for
get
sure.
goosebumps. I'd get like teary-eyed and everything.
Yeah.
Because that's when I was still really passionate about the business, and someday that's going to be me. I've only been to one WrestleMania, and it was WrestleMania 19 in Seattle.
Oh, so good.
And yeah, it was so good. And I walked in to the Safeco Field, and I saw the ring, and seriously, like openly, like fucking wept.
Yeah.
Dude, like seriously, just the magnitude of it. And the thing is, like, I was thinking, I'm going to be there someday.
Right.
And then, like, this circles back to your question.
Oh, good.
Once it hit me that I wasn't, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like, it seriously, like, it was, you can probably see it on my face. Like, I'm feeling it now a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it was, when I realized that was never going to be me. It was never going to happen. I got one night. The funny thing is, like, I did a security bit for one night for WWE with Nate Rules, your old tag team
Oh,
partner.
man.
Yeah, so
So cool. When was this?
This was, I don't remember the day. Again, I'm bad with dates. This was in Fresno. It was a lead up to the Battle of the Billionaires
Oh, that's right.
with
So WrestleMania 23.
yeah, with Vince and He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yes.
And it was the night when He Who Shall Not Be Named announced Bobby Lashley.
Right.
Yes,
And then there was the big pull apart.
Yeah, I was part of the pull apart. I was the first guy to take a bump.
Nice.
Umaga hit me. It looked like he killed me. Didn't feel a thing.
Yeah. The magic of wrestling.
Yeah, Umaga was super cool. Like, super nice guy. But yeah, I did that. I did that whole thing with Derek Sanders.
Right. Heart of Fire.
And Nate Rules, Mike Rain, a few other NorCal.
Yeah.
NorCal guys. I was considered a SoCal guy because the thing with Bakersfield, it's like we're technically considered SoCal as far as like services are concerned.
Sure.
But we are like right on the cusp.
Right.
So most of California considers us too far north to be SoCal. SoCal considers us too far north to be SoCal. NorCal considers us too far south to be NorCal.
Right. Yeah.
No one considers
definitely.
us Central Cal.
Which
So, I was considered a SoCal guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was there a CenCal guy thing back then, or was it just NorCal and
No,
SoCal? Because
NorCal
just
and
those
SoCal.
two, then
Yeah.
you're SoCal.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and really,
I wonder where Fresno lands in that. Probably, I don't know.
Fresno is technically about as Central Cal as you can get.
Right.
But the Fresno was considered NorCal.
Okay, I guess you just round up, right? You
I
just
guess, yeah.
round north in this case.
I guess.
So
But,
you were
so I did that thing, but that actually came after,
Huh.
after I realized I'm not making it in the business.
So then, how did that come about then? If you were just like, did you ever, sign up? Did they have your info? How did they reach out to you about that?
Actually, it was Billy Blade.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, it wasn't. It was Rick Bassman from
UPW.
From UPW,
Which was
'cause I did-
WWE's West Coast
Right, that's where
affiliate.
Cena came from.
Right.
There was a handful of
Bunch of
guys.
guys.
A handful of guys that came out of there.
Chris Masters came out of there.
Yeah.
Luther Reigns came out of there. Nathan Jones.
Yeah,
couple
there's
others I can't
There's a lot
remember.
of not success stories there.
Well, yeah, but they
But-
had their
but-
cup.
but then
They had their
you
cup
got-
of coffee.
yeah. Cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee in the big time.
Yeah. That's all it's going to be.
I mean, Nathan Jones was in the new Mortal Kombat movie, so that's cool.
Was he?
Yeah, he was Reiko.
Was
with
he
the hammer.
really?
Yeah,
Shit.
that was him.
I like the new. We've already talked about this.
We
We're
have.
not gonna go off on this tangent.
No,
but,
we are not, because this
I'm
is
just
a
gonna
whole
throw out there
different podcast.
totally different podcast. I'm gonna throw out there. I like the new Mortal Kombat.
I did not.
But I didn't. Yeah, we've already had that discussion.
Yes.
I
I mean, you're wrong. That's fine.
I was just gonna say you're wrong.
Beat you to it.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
But you're still wrong. So I didn't really. But yeah, so Rick Bassman called me up.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, do you want to do this? Fuck yeah, I want to do it.
Of course.
Do I want to work for WWE? Sure. And he reminded me, hey, be professional, don't be a mark. I remember those
Yeah.
were his exact words: be professional, don't be a mark, which I knew.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people don't. Like, a lot of-
I saw there were a lot of NorCal guys that were there, a lot of Fresno guys that were there.
Oh no.
That were backstage. I don't know how they got backstage, but they were marking out pretty hard.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, and they were talking to me, and it was cool because Oliver John. You remember Oliver John?
Sure.
Yeah, Oliver John.
Amazing talent.
Yeah, rad guy.
Fun fact: Sheamus made his TV debut against Oliver John.
I did not know that.
His name was Oliver Stone, which I thought was hilarious.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But he's one of the. You talk about underrated workers. And
Oh, yeah,
somebody that should have been on a
absolutely.
national stage and just a phenomenal wrestler.
If he was around now,
yeah.
I mean NXT. I mean,
Oh God, he'd be a
was
trainer
carrying-
in NXT for
right,
sure.
Right. I mean, he was carrying cross for carrying cross.
Right, he was, and also just the nicest guy.
Nicest guy.
So nice.
Yeah, seriously. Like I remember one of the last shows I worked up in NorCal. Like we were in and he was like the champion.
Yeah.
And like
Maybe
he,
in PCW.
I think it probably was PCW. Probably the last PCW show I worked.
Oh wow.
It wasn't at the skate park.
No, PCW had moved at that point. To,
Yeah.
I think the or I don't know if they were in Oroville at that time.
It was a smaller place. That's all I remember.
Okay.
But it was cool because like it drew really well. So it was
Yeah.
a smaller place. And that
Loud.
skate park was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like 100 people in there and it was empty.
Right. But you get 100 people in a tiny spot, feels full.
Yeah, it was great. But there was a battle royal and like he like gave me like he's like, dude, put some heat on me in the battle royal, and then he had me like chuck him out. Like he did the skin the cat, but still the fact that he had me chuck him out was cool. But I walked in and I saw him there, and it seemed like he had a lot of interest at the time because he was doing a lot of like spot work. Like he was doing a lot of job work, a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah. Well, he had a great look.
He did.
If he was 6 inches taller,
Right.
he would have been signed.
Yeah. And again, like if this was now, like
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
While your height isn't as much of a big deal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you've ever seen Oliver John, like again, like take the tattoos off of Killer Cross.
Yeah. And
yeah.
but also and also like go on YouTube, look up Oliver John. He's got some great stuff. Oh,
he was great, like just great, like solid professional wrestler.
Right.
And I mean, he had the look, he had everything.
Yeah.
But again, like at the time, it was still sort of the land of giants, and he was of average height. He wasn't a short guy, but he wasn't like massively tall either.
Right.
But anyway, like he was, and he seemed really well liked.
Mhm.
So,
anytime you see a familiar face in a backstage environment at a big wrestling production like that, it feels good.
yeah,
It's like it's in WWE too. Like in the extra spots that I've done, it's very much walking on eggshells. It's like, oh God, do I shake their hand or not? Do I make eye contact?
and
Do I
that's the
stop
thing.
them? Like, what do I do? I just don't want to piss anybody off.
right. Because we're taught when you go into a locker room, you shake everybody's hand.
Right.
At least this is what I was taught. You shake everybody's hand except the vets. You wait for this is what I was taught.
Oh.
You wait for the vets to acknowledge you.
See, that's different from what I learned. I just learned you shake everybody's hand because the thought in my head is like, if you shake everybody's hand except the vets, then the vets are like, who the fuck is this kid?
See, I should clarify. You wait for like permission. You wait for acknowledgement from the vets. Like basically, you just sort of stand there and wait for them to acknowledge
Which is
you.
awful. That's
I mean, again,
dumb.
like this is what I was taught by Born and
no, I'm not saying
and Maddie.
right. No, I know it's what you were
So-
taught, and I know it's like the way that it should have happened. But
Right.
like to just hover around the vets
Right.
until they're just like, okay,
So
your turn.
what I would
Like,
do
that's-
if they weren't doing anything or talking to someone, then I would just do the introduce myself.
Yeah.
If they were in the middle of something, I would stand there for a second. They didn't acknowledge me. I would walk away.
Okay,
I would
there
wait
you
for
go.
them to be done. I would not start changing or do anything else until all of that was done. And that's what I was taught.
right.
You don't open your bag until you've introduced yourself and shaken hands with everyone. If that takes you an hour, then it takes you an hour.
Right.
Like, and that's what I was taught.
What a mind fuck.
Yeah. But then you get to WWE and everyone's a vet.
Everyone's a vet, and they have their own locker room.
Right.
So it's like you're given like a little chunk of concrete with a curtain around it with like, 7 pairs of balls and butt cheeks in your face because it's so cramped.
Right, exactly. So we got taken to the locker room, which was off to, we were changing in like a literal closet off to the side of the main locker room, and everybody's showing up, and everyone is doing the professional thing. And I'm talking like everyone from Cena to Shawn Michaels, like everyone is doing the professional thing and coming in and shaking our hands, which was just so fucking surreal.
Wow.
But then, Edge walks in and shakes a hand, and, you hear him go in the locker room and, laugh and kind of joke with other people, and then it's like, man, it's crowded in here. So he comes in our room, which there was only like 4 or 5 of us. It was a closet, but it was a good sized closet, and there was still some room in there. And he says, "You guys mind if I change in here?"
Wow.
I'm like, fuck you, dude, get out of here. Who are you? No, this is our locker room.
Yeah.
But
what are you, green? Get the fuck out of here.
But no, so that was very surreal.
That's cool.
Just sitting there, getting changed, trying not to look at Edge's balls. He's doing the, wrap the towel around and then take the drawers off underneath the towel. But he's sitting there, hey, you guys from here? What are you guys doing tonight?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like Edge used to be, he was that kid.
Right.
He still remembers what it's like to be that kid.
Right, which was really cool. And then Randy Orton walks in, sees Edge, shakes Edge's hand, says nothing to the rest of us. So I don't know if he was just kayfabing us or if he really is that big of a dick.
I heard he was kind of a dick when he was like early on in his career, which, he had every right to.
This was probably, when were you on Tough Enough?
2011.
Okay. So
that was WrestleMania 27. So WrestleMania 23 would have been 2007.
Yeah.
So he was already a multi-time champion,
right?
And I think
2007. Yeah, that was right.
Yeah. So I'm sure he was a dick at the time. He'll probably admit it.
Yeah,
he admitted he was a dick on Steve Austin Broken Skull Sessions lately, that he was going through a lot of shit and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He no-showed WrestleMania rehearsals.
Right.
That's how fucked up he was.
Yeah. But you got to think, he got a lot of fame, and he got pushed to the top when he was really young.
Oh, God. He won the world title at 24.
Right. So I think you kind of have
when he beat Stevie Richards.
Right.
That's SummerSlam.
Stevie Richards.
Stevie Richards.
About that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that child star thing,
Yeah. Well, also third generation and...
Right. And they're the fact that he's good.
Yeah, fucking great.
Yeah. But he was kind of a dick. But still, at that point, like I got that call, and again, like that was, you can, if you go back, you can actually see me. I had hair back then, but
I remember
on the WrestleMania. Yeah, I had a lot of hair back then.
Yeah,
WrestleMania, on the WrestleMania DVDs and the build up, like you could see me.
That's cool,
like quite a bit, and I was at my biggest then. Like I was, I may not have been like the 488, but I was definitely in like the mid to high 4s.
Whoa, you were that big.
I was pretty big. Yeah, I was pretty big then. Because again, like I'd already, because like at the time, my only reason for like going to the gym and trying to eat right, and I didn't know what I know now about fitness and how to eat and how to live. I didn't know that then.
Right.
I didn't know then what I know now. And I've questioned, tons of times, if I would have put in the effort to getting into better shape, then would it have made a difference? And I came to the conclusion that it wouldn't have. Like, it's, again, it's like I just wasn't like I'm realistic. I'm not being self-deprecating. Like I look back on my matches and realize I just wasn't that good.
Yeah,
it's like I just realized that I just wasn't that good.
Well, that takes a place of, I think, emotional maturity and willing to be self-critical, to be like, would I buy a ticket to watch me wrestle?
Yeah, like
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No. I mean, I feel like I was, I helped put on some decent matches.
Sure. Could work with just about anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I just, but there was nothing special about me.
Right.
Yeah. But I think now, I mean, obviously, when you're as big as I was, you're not going to move. I moved really well.
I was going to say, did you take that bump?
Yeah.
Well, like,
yeah. I mean,
okay.
And that was the thing. I got, I went to a lot of, like tryouts. I went to a lot of seminars. I got looked at by a lot of people, and I was always told, you move really well for a guy your size. There was always that caveat, and I did. It's like, I studied guys like Bam Bam Bigelow and Terry Gordy and Vader and guys like that. Yeah. Guys that, were big, that can move, and that's, and I could do that.
Right.
But at the same time, when you're that big, there's that caveat, so, if you're that big and if you can move well, you got to bring something special to the table. And I just didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I'd realized that. And again, it was sort of heartbreaking, You know, because when I was a kid, I didn't want to be an astronaut. I didn't want to be a baseball player. I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like sort of that double-edged sword that I got to do it. You know, I used to, like every other kid, not really backyard wrestling. Backyard wrestling wasn't a thing. I mean, I'm in my 40s. This is in the 80s. You know, backyard wrestling wasn't really backyard wrestling as we know it now.
Sure.
Wasn't a thing. Backyard wrestling then was like, getting like a blue tarp and laying it down and getting, like a few like broom handles and putting them on the corners and some duct tape for ropes and shit like that. And I would do that, It's like my dad got a robe for Christmas one year and I was probably like 9 or 10 years old.
Oh, so you were Ric Flair.
I did, dude. Yeah. My dad got a robe. My aunt was a teacher. His sister was a teacher, and she would always give me like craft stuff. So I always had like Elmer's glue and glitter, and I'm not talking like a little bit, a lot of it. Like I'd have like these big buckets of glue and glitter. So my dad gets this robe.
I'm sure your dad was
brown
thrilled.
robe.
Yeah,
and for Christmas, literally the next day. Like my parents leave for a little while.
Oh no.
And I get the robe, which again, like I'm maybe 9 or 10 years old and it's huge on me, but I get the robe, I get my glue, I get the glitter. Not even thinking that this is not coming off.
Yeah.
But I made a Ric Flair robe.
Amazing.
I literally just dumped glue all over it and I remember having it on my hands and just smearing it everywhere and just taking I remember getting a bowl and just taking different colors of glitter and mixing it together and just dumping it on this robe.
Fantastic.
And it looked like a Rorschach test. Like it looked like a Jackson Pollock painting
on a brown
robe.
I don't think
glitter and glue on a brown robe. And yeah, I was wearing it around the house, like not even thinking about the aftermath.
Of course not.
Like how this is going to come off because it's not.
Right, yeah.
And what's going to happen when my dad sees that I ruined his brand new robe that he had just gotten for Christmas.
Less
and it
than
was
a day old.
Yeah, it wasn't even 24 hours old.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what this robe needs? Glitter and glue.
Right. Exactly.
This is
what
Ric
it's
Flair
lacking.
wears.
And
Yeah.
I remember my dad opened it like thinking, I can turn that to a Ric Flair robe. Like that was the plan as soon as I saw it.
Yeah.
But point being, like when I was a kid, like that's all I wanted to do.
Right.
And on one end, I got to do it.
And you had that moment on WWE.
Exactly. It's like I wanted to do, as Ric Flair would say, walk that aisle.
Sure.
And I did. I did get to walk that aisle one time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still, the majority of the people that get to say that they lived their dream one time greatly outnumbers the people that say I never got to live my dream.
Right.
So I got to do it one time. I got to walk that aisle. I actually got to run down with Mike Rotunda. And as we're running down, he says, "Don't lose me, kid. I'm old." And I said, "That's okay. I'm fat." Which she laughed. And we
fun little exchange with IRS.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's cool.
Bray Wyatt's dad.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Quick side story about Bray Wyatt's dad, IRS.
Mm-hmm.
I was an extra and then I actually forgot where we were. I think we're coming back to you making peace with not wrestling anymore.
Yeah. That's where we're at.
I was an extra at a 3 TV loop in the Western U.S., which was Elimination Chamber on Sunday, Raw Monday.
I remember when you did this.
Yeah.
I remember.
And SmackDown on Tuesday. And I think it was.
I don't think you know how closely I follow everything you do.
I don't think I do either.
I just made it weird.
You did?
I did,
It's because the mic is really close to your mouth and now
I
I'm
don't
just
think
kidding.
you realize.
Okay. Oh my God. All right. We're on video right now. Just so you know. So I did that
Just
loop.
wait till I take my pants off.
Okay.
And bring out the garlic.
I'm
not even going to
that is
explain
not a
that.
joke for anybody listening.
I'm not even going to explain that. Like, what the fuck are you
just
talking about?
whatever you think
Not
it
even
is,
gonna
it
get-
probably is.
It's probably worse.
Yeah. And so I was in catering during the main event of Elimination Chamber when Bray Wyatt first won the WWE title. And the only other person in catering was his dad, Mike Rotunda. And I could just it was down to Bray and I forgot who he beat for the title. And this was like before The Fiend. This is just during like cult leader Bray Wyatt. And I just always remember I thought it was the weirdest thing that when the 3 count happened, IRS didn't move. Nothing happened. He was eating something. And I was in the very back of the room, just standing, watching the monitor. There was IRS, like his back to me. And then there was the monitor.
Yeah.
And so the finish happens. Bray Wyatt wins the WWE. His son wins the WWE championship for the very first time. And he just kind of finishes his last bite, tosses his plate, and just walks out of the room. And so
That is weird.
it's weird.
That is really weird.
And so I don't know.
like, are they okay?
I don't know. I don't know if they're okay. I don't know if like I mean, obviously it's not, I don't think it was news to Mike Rotundo.
I'm sure it wouldn't. I'm sure it wasn't. But it's like we've all been in situations where we've been on indie shows and we know who's going to win. If we see our friend like win a title, they're still that awesome. Like
right,
we still see
or
it.
at least like I would have thought he would have been out in the crowd,
Right.
or something. But
I would. I have kids. My kids, especially my son, grew up, wanting to be a pro wrestler. That sort of, left him as he got older. But
right,
whatever it is, if my kids are, if they're like standing on like the precipice of this milestone, like something that's going to define them,
right,
I would want to be there.
right, and like there wasn't even a nod of approval. There wasn't like a cross, folding of the arms with like kind of the upside down smile where you're like,
I wonder if there's like some jealousy there.
I was thinking that.
Because again, like we've talked about that. Everybody gets into the business to be the champion,
Right, and Mike Rotunda never was. I don't think. What was he? The tag champion was his highest accolade.
Tag champion Barry Windham.
Right, and I think again as part of the Money
Inc. Right?
Inc.
I can't believe I forgot about that.
I think.
See, because still, like I don't even think of him as IRS. Like I still think of him as Mike Rotunda.
I think of him as IRS
Because I'm older than you,
right?
So yeah,
but yeah, I've never told that story before, and I was just like. We were just talking about like those moments, and I was just like, I would have thought there would have just been like a fist pump to the air or an approving nod, but no, he just kind of finished his plate, tossed it out, and walked out.
Because now
of
that
the
like
room.
kayfabe just doesn't exist anymore. There's plenty of those like backstage moments,
yeah,
like where they show like, like real life WWE couples, like Becky when Seth won, and
sure,
like showing those moments, and then God, what's it? The guy from Bianca Belair's husband from
Montez.
Yeah,
Ford?
Montez Ford. Yeah,
yeah.
When she won, like there's that genuine like emotion,
Right.
And
I saw none, zero.
That's so interesting.
It was like he was done with his lunch break and he was going back to work.
I feel like there's probably some jealousy.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what their relationship is like.
Yeah, because Mike Rotunda was good.
Yeah, like he was a memorable character.
Yeah, he was. He was a solid guy, and again, like he was with Barry Windham, who ended up being world champion.
There was a rumor that
Rotunda was a horseman for a little while,
right? There was a rumor that IRS and Undertaker were going to form a tag team called Death and Taxes.
Really?
Yeah, this is on one of Bruce Pritchard's podcasts.
I don't know why I think that's great.
That's delightful.
That's great.
It's really funny. I mean, it's good for the Undertaker's mystique that it never happened because if you were to watch them team, it's like, haha, that's funny, Death and Taxes.
Yeah.
But like, badum-ps.
So
that's not badum-ps is not the Undertaker's vibe.
Right. I don't play. We were talking about this last night. I don't play video games. I love video games. I don't play video games like I used to.
Sure.
Because I really love video games. And
right.
the key to me losing the weight that I lost was giving my Xbox controller and my PlayStation, because I have them both, giving my controllers and my games to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give them to them and give them to him and say, hey, hold on to these.
Right.
Do not give them back to me.
Shout out to Jesse Jimenez.
Yeah, and he did. Yeah,
What was his nickname? The Fiesta Kid?
Siesta Kid.
The Siesta Kid. Well, that's his handle on Twitter.
That was his name. He was the Siesta Kid.
He was the Siesta Kid?
Uh-huh. Siesta Kid, Jesse Jimenez.
Is that because he would put people to sleep?
I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, because I thought it was the Fiesta Kid.
No, it was Siesta. It was Siesta Kid.
It was?
Yeah,
Oh.
It was definitely Siesta Kid.
Okay, well.
He told me where it came from, and I don't remember.
All right, I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, Jesse's a funny guy.
He ribbed me real good, by the way.
I miss Jesse. Actually.
I miss Jesse too. I saw him at a wedding not too long ago, but he sent me some phone number. He's like, "Hey, I have this buddy Rick who's wanting to get married. Give him a call as soon as you can." Sends me his phone number. I didn't know. He's like, "Reach out to him as soon as you can." And I'm like, "Okay." I shot him a text. Like, I hope to hear from him soon. He's like, "No, give him a call. Like, he wants to hear from you." So I call him. And it's a recording of "Never Gonna Give You Up." Never gonna let you. It's like, is his buddy Rick. I just got Rick rolled.
That's
Motherfucker.
great.
Motherfucker.
That's
it was
great.
a good rib. That's a great
That is a
harmless
good rib.
That's
Yeah,
a good rib.
that is a good one.
Fuck you, Jesse.
That's great.
I
miss you, man.
So I don't. So you're winding. You came to that realization that it's just
I
not...
came to that realization that I wasn't going to make it any farther than I was.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna shoot here, which I always think it's really weird when guys like me that never really did anything in the business use the word
it's
shoot.
so ingrained in our culture, though. The lingo, the jargon, it's a part of who we are.
I mean, yeah, and it's like we use it in everyday conversation. People look at us like we're weird because they have no idea what we just said.
Right. I say I popped all the time, and like somebody's just like, what the fuck does that mean?
Right. And like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the word pop is also used in porn for another thing. Yeah. They don't call it the money. They don't call it the money shot. That's not a thing. They call it the pop shot. They call it the pop.
The pop shot. So how did it become the money shot?
I have no idea.
Fucking Val Venus.
Fucking Val Venus.
God damn it.
I think they called it that in the 70s, but they haven't called it the money shot because I worked in the adult business for a while, not in like the performance side. I managed, businesses and I was in like the business side of it. But
it's weird though, because like if you go on Pornhub and you see like the little slider at the bottom where like the most, I don't know how to like describe it, but it's like I think it's just where the most people tune in.
Yeah,
it's always the pop shot.
Right. I mean, typically, I mean, again, like I never understood why like they have like the 4-hour porn DVDs because you only need about 90 seconds of it.
Right.
Like,
Seriously.
I mean, no one has ever like watched all of a 4-hour porn DVD.
And if you have, then you need help.
Seriously.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, there was a guy, this is nothing, this isn't even going to circle back to anything.
I was just thinking, like, of all the tangents, now we've inevitably ended up on porn.
But this is a quick one. So when I used to manage a Hustler store, I managed a Hustler store for quite a while. And there was a guy that used to come in on a weekly basis with a list of porn DVDs. And like he would buy a minimum of, and this wasn't that long ago.
Right.
I mean, this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So the internet is then, it is then what it is now. I mean, it hasn't changed that much.
Sure.
Pornhub, everything else existed. But he was an older guy, definitely, boomer territory. He was a college professor. I'm not going to say how I found that out because I realized that would be incriminating myself.
Fair.
I'm not going to dry snitch on myself.
Okay.
But he was a college professor, very nice guy, but he would come in on a weekly basis with a list of porn DVDs. And I'm talking like 4 or 5. Like this guy would drop a minimum of $500 a week.
Whoa.
On porn DVDs.
For shit he could get for free.
Exactly.
Maybe not the exact DVDs, but probably
the parts that you need. Yeah.
So is that a kink? That's got to be a kink of some kind.
I never figured out like if he was like a collector. Because like there are still people that don't understand like that collectors markets for a lot of things don't exist anymore.
Right.
I grew up like my first job ever was in a comic book store and I got paid $2 an hour. This was like 1986.
Okay.
I got paid $2 an hour in comic books. So I had a pretty healthy comic book collection.
Yeah.
That I sold off at just the right time when people that weren't comic book fans, speculators, were starting to buy comic books.
I see.
To sit on them and then flip them.
Right.
Which ended up killing the collector market.
Because it happens so frequently?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people, because, things are collectible because they're rare.
Right.
And people speculators started buying comic books thinking that the comic books that they're buying now will be worth money 10 years from now.
I see.
Not realizing that by buying them, they are causing more to be printed, thus making them not rare.
Interesting.
So I'm not... part of me thinks that maybe that's why he was buying the DVDs, thinking they're going to be worth money someday.
But, I mean, the porn industry, for every one non-porn movie, there's like 3 or 4 porn movies.
Yeah, again, I worked in that industry. I know how it works.
The volume of content is enormous.
Honestly, and that is an understatement. For one porn movie, saying for one regular movie, there's 3 or 4 porn movies. That's an understatement.
Is it really?
It's probably close to 10 or 11.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow.
But in the time it will take us to record this podcast, 24 porn movies will come out.
Right.
And that's not an exaggeration. Again, I worked in that business and I understand how it works, and it's a corporate machine.
Right. I mean, you could do it. There's OnlyFans too.
Right.
People are just recording all kind of shit.
Fucking rad. Girls, get your money.
Guys, get your money.
Yeah, everybody get your money. Guys, girls, however you identify, get your fucking money.
Get your fucking money.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Love that.
Where are we now?
But anyway,
Pop shots.
Pop shots. Yeah. So I don't even know where we're at now.
Fuck, me neither. Well, we were winding down your career, but how did we get here? Let's take like 10 seconds.
So you asked me where I was in my career when I found out you were on Tough Enough.
Right.
So I was at the tail end of my career. I was basically just doing
You had the shot with WWE.
I had the shot with WWE, and it was 2007.
Right.
And I'd already pretty much figured, it was around the same time I was realizing that I was done. I just wasn't going to make it.
Well, Tough Enough was 2011.
Right.
So
it was still, yeah, so
were you still though?
Like no, I wasn't. That's because now I'm thinking about it. No, I wasn't. I think I had like my actual like official last match.
Yeah.
Around that time.
Did you make a big deal? Did you make a big deal out of it? Like,
no,
did you market it as such or anything? Like,
nobody cared.
Match? Yeah,
nobody cared. No, I mean, it's like, there were a few places that like I'd work like pretty regularly. If like my name would, they'd hear my name and there'd be like a small pop. But like I realized that, aside from, there were some local fans, people that like weren't actually even my friends. They wouldn't even know my real name.
Wow.
It's like they knew me as Tommy Angels.
Right.
It's like I had posted something on Facebook about like it being like my last match. It was kind of emotional. And I guess, somebody at the show had told them it was my last match. And it was, I mean, I'm talking like, like 8 guys that were like, and you'd probably recognize them because they're at every Bakersfield show.
Right.
Like, I mean, if we saw them out somewhere, they would mark out to you so hard and they would probably tell you more about your career than you know.
Yeah. God bless those type of fans.
Yeah, I love them. But honestly, like they gave me like a nice ovation when they came out. And so that was nice. Like, honestly, it got me a little emotional. So my last match was actually with Jesse Jimenez.
Right.
I got his tag team, Greg Hernandez.
Oh, right. Sean Pulver.
Yeah. And a guy named Joel who went by Tank Alvarado.
Okay.
Who I kind of helped train a little bit.
I don't think I know Tank, but I definitely know everybody else.
But he worked in SoCal a lot. But it was pretty much after I was done.
A match with Sean and Jesse just must have been so fucking...
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the cool thing is, like, I was really good friends with all of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really good friends with all of them. So I got to have my last match. And it was a decent match, especially considering I probably hadn't had one in, like, 2 or 3 years at that point.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like I gradually, like, I lost my passion for it, but it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to have 5 more matches.
Yeah.
It was just all of a sudden I realized I'm not going to have this is it. I'm done. Like, I was literally in the ring having a match at a small place.
That's when it
Billy
hit you?
was running. Yeah, it hit me. It's like, I just don't have a passion for this anymore.
Was it after a bump? Were you selling? Were you like getting some shine and you're just like, who cares?
It was towards the end of a match. It was after the hot tag, hitting some false finishes.
Yeah.
And like, I realized that like, I remember because it was in like a warehouse. Kind of like a lot of wrestling schools are in like industrial complexes.
Yep.
Where there's like a lot of, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Garages.
Exactly. It was like Gym Wars. It was in one of those.
Stereo installation places.
Exactly. And there were like 30 people there.
Yeah.
And we're going out there and we're bumping our asses off and like having this match and doing like some crazy shit.
How much you get paid for that match?
I think probably like $20. Fuck. And then I realized, dude, this is as far as I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And and that's seriously like that was the thought process. Like I'm outside the ring and it was like a 6-man or something. Like I had worked a match and then like I'd worked a singles match. It was basically like a quick squash. I just squashed somebody, and then like they ran an angle and ended up like this. Like the main event ended up being like a 6-man. Mm-hmm. So it was during the 6-man when I'm looking out and again, there's like 30 people there,
right?
And like 2 of them are my kids. One of them was like my girlfriend at the time, and then like another friend of mine. And I'm pretty sure that pretty much, like the remaining, like 27 people, were also friends of the people that were there. They were like actual fans. And I realized, it's like I've been in this business for a few years at this point, who knows how many matches. I actually have all my matches written down.
All of them?
Yeah.
Nice.
I got that from Chris Jericho.
Yeah, apparently he just put a book out with all that information.
Yeah, he, like you said, from his first match, he wrote down, everything about that match. So I got that from Chris Jericho. So I did that. So there's actually a notebook in my garage with everything written down. So and I know your name's on. I wrote down the referees, I wrote down everything. And yeah.
I was in the habit of doing that too for maybe the first year or so of my career. And then I was just like, you know what? I don't think I care enough to do this.
Yeah. And
now I wish I would have.
For that last match, I didn't write anything. I just wrote, I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it was match like 257 or something like that.
Wow.
But it was during the finish, and there's like the schmaz, and like I remember like,
everything's breaking down.
Yeah, it's like I was actually hitting Billy Blade with like some like kind of like an air raid crush neck breaker.
What the fuck is the air raid crush neck breaker?
It's like a
is that like Seamus's white noise?
Kind of, yeah, exactly. But you do it like did it like a neck. I stole it from. I'm trying to remember who I stole it from. A Japanese female wrestler. I stole it from her. I stole a lot of stuff from Japanese female wrestlers.
These are jam
because they're great. Joshi wrestlers are amazing. Totally underrated. But yeah, and I had Billy, who was a good friend of mine, and I had him cradled for that, and realized, man, like my head was just somewhere else.
Yeah.
And if you've got somebody giving you their body,
trusting you with it,
and I'm about to do, something that could potentially with a, narrow margin of error, and my head's not fully in it, I should not be doing this.
Yeah.
And my head just wasn't in it because like as I'm on the apron, I'm looking out and I'm realizing this is as far as I'm going to get. And I started thinking about, and I'm not going to name any names because they're nice people.
Off the air.
Yeah. Some guys I'd been on shows with, and, were like, they were the age that I am now. And they're, it's like, they're solid hands. They're solid workers. And a part of them is doing it because they love it. But then another part is just waiting. They're still there waiting for that call that's never going to come.
They're Dennis Stamp.
Yeah, exactly.
The dude from Beyond the Mat. Jumping on the trampoline. Because you never know when that phone's going to ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, because we've both been in locker rooms with guys that we grew up watching. And that's really surreal. And sometimes it's very cool, and sometimes it's very not cool. Because they're,
it's cool if we recognize them. It's cool if we grew up watching them. But then there oftentimes is kind of that sobering moment where there's just like, they look like Randy the Ram from The Wrestler. It's
so
just like,
there was an experience that Billy Blade and I had with a guy. I'm not going to name his name, but I will say that he is synonymous. His name has become synonymous with the other guy in the tag team.
Okay.
That guy.
Yep.
The guy that was good.
Yep.
But just didn't make it.
Yeah.
That guy. So Billy Blade and I were on a show with this guy, and he was just sort of making us come back. He was in great shape. But everybody knew about his past, his issues, and it seemed like everybody had hoped that at that particular show, that didn't seem to be an issue. He went out and he had a match with a guy, Mike Rain, and who was a solid worker.
Sure is.
Very solid worker. But he had a match with Mike Rain, and he made Mike Rain, and again, Mike Rain's good, but he made Mike Rain look like a million. Like Mike Rain, as good as he is, will never look that good.
Yeah.
And not that Mike Rain is bad. It's just the guy that he was working with was that
Which
good.
is the whole point of wrestling, is to make the guy in there look better than they are.
We've all heard that he can have a match with a broomstick.
Right.
This guy could.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
when he was straight.
Right, exactly. When he was straight, and when he went into that match, he was he was straight when he had that match with Mike. And again, this is not taking anything away from Mike Rain. Mike Rain is a very solid worker. If you've never seen Mike Rain, check him out on YouTube. And really solid worker. Again, he's a guy that, like, if he was coming up now because of the style and the way that he works, like, it would be. I mean, Mike Rain's probably been working solid for about 15, 20 years.
Probably. Now. I mean, Mike Rain was the dude that I was ready to have what I would have considered my last match against.
Oh, really?
At Hood Slam, yeah. That's. Wow. I mean, I think very highly of Mike Rain. He's fucking great.
Yeah, he is. And again, he's one of those guys that, like, unfortunately, most people have never heard of, but great guy.
Sure.
Again, like, solid guy. And it's like, I'm not even like, we know each other, but like, I wouldn't say like we're friends. It's not like we have anything against it. We just don't know each other well.
Sure.
So it's just
the way it is with a lot of people.
Right.
In
it's
wrestling.
not like we're acquaintances. We're cool with each other. So it's not like I'm putting over a guy that's like a friend of mine.
Right.
It's just good.
Right.
But he was working with Mike Rain, and I mean, sold like he was headlining WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden for Mike Rain. And Billy and I ended up giving him a ride back. Apparently, his hotel room was right next to ours.
Okay.
So promoter asked if we can give him a ride back to the hotel. And so we're giving him a ride, and he says, hey, it's his birthday. Can we stop at this liquor store? So he buys a bottle of Southern Comfort. And I've never drank alcohol before in my life. It just never interested me.
Sure.
I've never smelt Southern Comfort, and that's when I found out that it smelled like cough syrup. And that's when I was told basically most alcohol tastes like it smells.
Uh-huh. That's accurate.
And yeah, it smelled like cough syrup.
Most alcohol tastes awful, by the way.
See, and that's
Awful.
what I've heard. And again, the whole it just never occurred. It just never appealed to me. I never wanted to.
That's fair.
But I mean, I can do enough stupid stuff sober.
Right.
You know, I mean, it seemed because like again, like I got into punk rock like when I was like 13, 14, and it seemed very counter-revolutionary. And the thing that appealed to me about punk rock is that it was fuck you to the norms, fuck you to what we're supposed to do.
Right.
And then that just seemed very in line with what's expected of you. You know, it's like
Drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
it
just-
is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
considered odd if you're not.
Right.
Like, oh, you're not drinking? Do you have a problem?
right. Yeah, and exactly. I mean, you know, people know what straight edge is now because of CM Punk,
Mhm.
but you know, it's like I found straight edge and punk rock, you know, way before CM Punk, and like CM Punk, like I still have his number on my phone because like we bonded over. You know,
Doesn't he owe you $40?
He owes me $40,
Right.
for a hotel room. Yeah, he was notorious for that. Apparently, I left my wallet.
Forgot his wallet, yeah.
I left my wallet, and then like Nick Jackson was like, "Dude, you never see that $40 again."
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's right.
Just name dropping over here.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm gonna pick
Pick
that
it
up.
up.
Yeah, but Billy and I, we end up stopping at this liquor store, and he buys a huge bottle of Southern Comfort.
Ugh.
And the intent was not to get everybody drunk. This was for him.
Oh boy.
But we walk into the liquor store, and the guy immediately knew who he was, so he gives him the bottle of liquor for free.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
Happy
we
birthday.
end up back at the hotel, and there's a couple other guys there, and somebody walks in like, "Hey, the guy downstairs says there's a strip club not far from here." And so we ended up going to the strip club, which was legitimately like in a shed. It was like the strip club was like built inside a shed that you would store like farm equipment in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this was like way up.
Not
in
even big enough to be
California.
a barn, but
No,
a shed.
a shed. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
That like you would store farm equipment in, but like inside looks like a strip club.
Wow.
So we go in, and yeah, I've ran strip clubs. California law, you can't have alcohol inside strip clubs. I mean, they will get their business shut down. It's not like a 3 strikes you're out. Like
One and done.
Yeah, if liquor board shows up, which they do at strip clubs all the time. If somebody's caught with liquor, your business is done, and management can potentially go to jail. It's a very serious thing. So he's trying to walk in with his bottle. And which some places you can, like I guess like Texas, like you can bring your own liquor to strip clubs,
What?
right? And that just seems like such a bad idea.
Awful.
That seems like a terrible. It's like, oh, you can bring your own liquor to a strip club. What could possibly go wrong?
That sounds like a Florida idea.
Seriously, it does. It absolutely does. And I think the only thing that could get worse is like it's like you go to a strip club and they just hook you up to like a liquor IV, which is probably
Right.
what they do in Florida.
Straight in your
Probably
veins.
like a funnel, and then it just goes in the butt like the garlic.
Exactly. Now you know the story about the garlic.
Yeah, the story about the garlic now.
Right.
Sort of explained it enough to just keep you questioning.
Yeah.
But yeah, we end up at the strip club, and the person that I'm with, again, who is synonymous with his name is now synonymous with the guy in the tag team that didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
With the other guy, with the lesser known of the two of the tag team,
Right.
that guy. So he keeps going in and out of the club, which they don't normally do, but because of who he is, and again, like the bouncer and the guy that knew him, the DJ or the guy, the manager knew who he was. The DJ recognized him, and there were some people there that recognized him.
Okay, then this might be somebody other than who I think it was, because I'm like, there's no way this guy was that.
No, we're thinking of the same guy. It's
Are
just
we?
we've got it. There's only one guy that it could be.
Maybe I got confused when you're explaining. Well, I'll ask you off air.
There's only one name. There's only one name of a tag team. There's only one name of a tag team wrestler that is synonymous with the other guy. The one guy that
I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about, but I'm like,
you've got to.
let's, I'll confirm with you after the fact.
So you've got to keep in mind where we're at. We're way up in Northern California. We're in like a farming town.
Yeah.
And everybody in the farming town probably grew up on WWF.
Uh-huh.
So they probably weren't current,
Okay.
They probably weren't current fans.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
But they were probably kids. They were probably around my age, which I was, in my
looking at this
30s
tag
at
team
the
being like
time.
they're the coolest.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they knew him. They probably weren't current fans, but people knew him from that. And for all I know, somebody might what probably realistically probably happened was one person in a group was probably like, "Hey, you're that guy."
Oh, sure.
And then everyone else, not even knowing who that guy was,
Oh.
maybe just went along with it because, hey, this is somebody famous.
Right.
But the manager of the club definitely knew who he was.
Okay.
Definitely knew who he was. So for all I know, he told the bouncer and he told the DJ, "Hey, this guy."
Sure.
So that's realistically that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
But they said his name, and
Do you know who that is? No. Should I? Yeah. He's cool.
Exactly. So they were letting him go in and out.
Yeah.
Of the club and drink.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept getting drunker and drunker. And then I look over. I'm sitting at a table with him, and I look over and just in time to see the line go up his nose.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And he and it got to the point the manager had to ask us to take him out. He had to leave.
Right.
He was getting belligerent. He was getting grabby, and again, like I've never been okay. Again, like I was able to be a strip club manager for a long time because it's a business to me, and there's a lot of parallels between that and the wrestling business. And I was successful at it because it was just a business to me, and I had a job to do, and I understood that the women there also had a job to do.
Right.
And they needed to be treated just like anyone else that has a job to do. And nothing less. So I had an issue with the way he was treating the women,
Harassing them at work.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually grabbed him and drug him out. And I thought that I was going to have to fight this guy that like I grew up watching, which was very surreal.
That's
by the time
odd.
we got outside, he moved on to something else, and there was a Corvette parked right next to Billy. And I assume it was the owner's. It was there when we got there. Very nice Corvette.
Oh, no.
He stands on the hood of the car, pulls his dick out, starts peeing on the hood of the Corvette. And he's dressed like a wrestler from the 80s. He's got cowboy boots on.
Jesus.
Scratching up the hood of this Corvette. And we're like, dude, you got to get down. They're going to call the cops. He's standing there with his dick out, and he's like pissing on the hood of this Corvette. And then that wasn't enough. So after he does that, and he's still got his dick out, he reaches down and breaks off one of the windshield wipers. And starts like hitting the Corvette with the windshield wiper.
Okay.
I'm like, Billy, we got to get him out of here, dude.
Yeah. So
we got him out. Like I grabbed him. Like, dude, we got to go. They're going to call the cops. You're going to go to jail. So we put him back in the car and went back to our hotel. And on the way there, he starts shooting. He starts telling stories about the other guy in this tag team. And he addressed a lot of rumors that people have heard about how this person got a push. And again, this is like such a shitty rumor that has not aged well.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to bring it. I'm not even going to pay it lip service.
Okay.
But you probably know what I'm talking about. We can talk about it later. It's something like I don't even feel comfortable like addressing on your podcast because it's just so shitty.
Yeah, that's okay.
But he was talking about that. It was just so weird. And we got him. We started to get him into his room. We get him into his room. And then he follows us back to our room. We had to take him to his room like 2 or 3 times.
No. You stay here.
Yeah. And the whole time he's, telling us the story on what happened. Like how the other guy why the other guy got the push. And it's very clear because we didn't ask.
Right.
And it's very clear that he's like still very bitter about it.
Right.
And the thing is, like,
he'll tell anybody who will listen.
Right. And it was really sad. But the funny thing is, like, he ended up on Raw with that guy, kind of a reunion for that tag team. You know what I'm talking about now,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
It's who I thought it was too, but I got turned around when you were explaining the name thing.
Gotcha.
I got it the first, I was like, I was overthinking it, but yes.
Yeah, so he ends up on Raw like not long after that.
Right, I was thinking, this is around that time.
Yeah, but it was. But so like that night, so we were really worried about him. We're like, dude, he's gonna fucking die. And honestly, like that night, I'm surprised that he hasn't. I mean, he's gone on to like post some really weird. That's kind of what he's known for now, posting some really weird stuff on Facebook.
Right,
really weird, really questionable stuff. It's like he caught to a murder.
Yeah, right. Or it's like, didn't he like admit to sleeping with his sister or something?
Yeah, like his daughter. Like he said his daughter was hot.
Oh,
like
Jesus
he
Christ.
pulled a Trump and would literally say, well, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd date her.
Oh, that's right.
Like really messed up stuff, dude. It's like,
poor
what the
guy.
Fuck, yeah. But and we thought we seriously thought, dude, we're gonna wake up and he's gonna be dead.
Yeah.
So we woke up the next morning and we kept calling his room and it wasn't answering. So we went to the front desk and they went and opened his room and his room was trash and he was gone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was gone last time I ever saw him. So this is relative because I didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
I remembered that. I remembered other guys that I was on shows with that, so, let's be honest, most people, this guy that I'm talking about would consider him a has-been.
Mm-hmm.
And sucks to be a has-been. You know what sucks worse than being a has-been?
Being never was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I realized, I'm being real here again, I'm not being self-deprecating. I realized that if I didn't stop, I was going to be a never was. I didn't want to be a never was. That's why I stopped.
Man, that is a harsh realization to come to, but
it was a hard one. I
Yeah.
struggled. It wasn't an easy one, but it was a slap of reality. And I know that I was right. It's like, you're my friend. You know me.
right.
But you can't tell me that. You have to be honest with me. I was right. I made the right call on that one. Like, I would not have, I wouldn't have got the call from WWE. I wouldn't have got the call from TNA.
Not on the route that you were going with your weight, especially.
Right.
Like you were having a hard time.
Yeah.
Really hard time.
I was out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was out of control. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't want to be a never was.
Right.
So
but you still like, you pursued it though. You
I
had the
did.
guts to pursue it. And
I did. Yeah. And again, like I said before, it's like I can say that I followed my dream and I
Right.
got to live it for a short, and I'd done other things.
Made friends along the way.
I did, exactly. You wouldn't be here without it.
Right.
So there's other people that I'm still like friends with because of it. And, I appreciate that. And I'd done other things, like I'd played music, I'd gone on tours and I'd done things. And at the time, it's like, I didn't take the time to think about, I'm 16, I'm 17 years old, I'm on tour, I'm in a van with my friends playing music. All I thought, I did like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
All I thought was, fuck, that show sucked. It's hot. This fan is
course.
air conditioning. It's like, we've got like enough for like 2 bean burritos to split between the 5 of us.
Living that rock star lifestyle.
Exactly. So, I didn't appreciate it at the time. So every time like I was on the road, like driving to shows with like, friends or, just backstage, I appreciated it.
Yeah.
I appreciated the fact that this is what I wanted to do and I'm doing it. So like I took the time to appreciate where I was and the fact that this is living my dream. You know, it's like, even if I'm going out and working in front of 20 people, I'm still getting to say I was a pro wrestler. I'm getting to stamp it and say that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I got that one night with WWE, I got to walk that same aisle that like I would, when I had my glued Ric Flair robe and like my homemade entrance ramp, I got to walk down that aisle. I got to stand in the ring with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
It was one night, but I got it.
Yep.
So,
and you can, now with I was going to say the network, it's on Peacock now, but like
Right.
you can go back and just,
which I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've relived it. And there were so many things. Like I met, Ric Flair that night. It's like 5 feet away from like Flair and Steamboat and Arn and Dusty just sitting there bullshitting and having a conversation.
Yeah.
I just sat there and...
Do you need to take that?
Nah. It's
Okay. Yeah. Take a peek at the time and see what we're at now. We're already at an hour and a half. We're at an hour and a half.
I feel like we're doing better this time.
I think so. We're still keeping mostly on track. But
Right.
like, if I felt like really compelled to quote unquote bring it back, then I would have. But like, this is important shit. This is life shit that we're talking about right now.
I'm going to send a text message while we're talking.
Please do. I'm going to actually take this opportunity and check my phone as well.
Okay.
Sucks for everybody. Anything fun happening on yours?
No. It's actually, nothing fun at all.
Okay. Looks like somebody wrote me with an exciting business opportunity.
Is it a real business opportunity?
No, it's complete bullshit. So that's going to go in the junk folder. Yeah, but anyway, I didn't want to cut that story short because, like I said, this is real life shit. Although looking at the time, you know what we're gonna have to do eventually? A part 3.
We're gonna have to do a part 3.
We're gonna have to do a part 3.
But the funny thing is, like, a lot of this I can tie back to your, but I'll remember because it was my life. I lived it. I can tie back to your Tough Enough experiences.
No,
it's very relative.
No, it is. I'm not saying it's not relative. I'm just saying
the time thing. Who's going to listen to us talk for 3 hours?
Well, they're gonna fucking have to.
Right.
But like, this is it's. I think this is good shit. I think this is some of the stuff
too. And like I've said before, I think I have a different perspective because you've pretty much just talked to people you're on the shows with.
Right. So I'm talking to people I was on the shows with, but also like this shit. I want to talk. I have a interview set up with the executive producer.
All
I
right,
have an
that's
interview
awesome.
set up with. I'm trying to get the medic, who was very busy because there were a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Casting people. Like I want to get the in.
You need
and
every
around.
perspective. And
Exactly.
again, like I'm having a perspective that not a lot of people are going to have because I was your friend before.
That's what I'm saying.
I was your friend before. I was your friend before, during, and after.
Right.
You know. So and I've seen change, not in a negative way. Like I'm not, because these are questions, so I'm not going to throw them at you now.
Right.
But I know there's things that I noticed as far as like your goals that I think change completely based on your experiences on the show. Like I saw how that show definitely changed your trajectory.
100%.
Yeah, and again, knowing you before, I was able to see that.
Yeah.
So, and I think I'm one of the few people that did.
I agree, because a lot of people didn't know me as well as you did back then, especially within wrestling.
Because like
and
you're
what
one of
my
those people
ambitions were.
like you and I, like we clicked like really, really easily.
Oh, yeah.
It's like there are those people. It's like you meet and like it's like you kind of just skip that we're just cool, we're acquaintance phase, and we're just friends.
Right.
Like you and I did that.
Right.
Well,
I remember the very moment too. It was when I think you were in your low 3s at the time. And you were like, hey, I've got this like respiratory thing. Like if I do this.
I had a bruised rib.
A bruised rib. That's what it was.
Yeah, you were reffing. You still had your long hair.
I still had my long fucking Shawn Michaels awful wannabe hair. And so, yeah, it's like if I do this, then like back the guy off. Give me a few minutes.
That's how
seconds of
dedicated
shit.
I was to the business at the time. I had bruised ribs. I had bruised during a
Shit's
match,
not
and I was
easy.
still working.
Right.
It hurt to breathe.
Which is, unfortunately, and like, again, this is some of that carny bullshit that I hate about wrestling. It's just what you do. You work hurt. You work sick. Like, you put the business before everything else, which is not necessarily the healthiest way to do it.
No.
But that's just the way it has been for such a long time that that's what you were conditioned
and honestly,
to do.
that had a lot to do with, I got told to do that. I thought I was doing that. I got told I needed to do that more. And then basically I got told, even though you're doing that, you're not good enough.
God damn it. Fucking wrestling, man.
Yeah. And then, and I got told that in no uncertain terms. So somebody said, hey, do this for me and we'll do this for you. And so I did. They said, do A, B, and C for us and we'll do this for you.
Gross.
We'll put you over. We'll get you on these. We'll make you visible. We'll give you visibility.
Yeah.
We'll give you
exposure.
Exactly. We'll give you a spot. So I did A, B, and C, and then I got told flat out, you are not good enough for this spot.
Fucking wrestling, man. I hate it.
Yeah.
But say nobody hates wrestling more than wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Nobody hates wrestling more than wrestlers.
Yeah, but and the thing is, the person that told me this
was this the promoter that we were alluding to earlier?
never taken a bump in their life.
Miss motherfucker. I think I know who it is.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, they ended up leaving the promotion that we worked at a lot together and starting their own thing, which ended up kind of successful. But like the way he treated, he was a booker, but had no he was a fan that became a booker. He was Vince Russo. Yeah, never taken a bump, and like basically he treated workers, he treated the boys like they were his action figures. Would basically just kind of have them do things, gimmicks and things like that for his own amusement. But like it paid zero dues in the business. Zero dues in the business. Like literally was a fan of a promotion, had some skills as a graphic designer, which should tell you exactly who I'm talking about. And so was doing some graphic design work for this company and somehow got handed the book. Yeah, paid zero dues in the business. But it sucks that I let somebody like that get to me. But the thing is, I knew he was kind of right. I had to acknowledge the fact that he was kind of right.
Yeah.
So.
But I don't know. I mean, kind of right. You didn't quit because he put the idea in your head.
No. Like I was realistic.
Right.
Like, and this, this, I don't know if you want to get into this now. Like, because we've been talking so long about other things. Like it just, when you were on the show, I have so many. Do you want to start talking? Do you want to circle back, or do you want to wait for that?
I want to wait.
Okay.
Because I do I don't want to. Well, I was about to say cut us short. We've been going for an hour and a half,
which honestly does not seem like an hour and a half.
Fucking flew by. So next time I'm in town, which seems to be happening pretty frequently, we are going to set aside like an entire afternoon, or something, to really get into the thick of this. Yeah. Because I think.
Because what I think we have now, we've laid a groundwork.
Yes,
that says like
we've done what that shitty Mortal Kombat did. It built a world
building. That's exactly what this was. Right. With that awesome Mortal Kombat movie we did. We've built we have context.
Really,
context.
We do have context. I mean, it's nobody gives a fuck about Act 1 and Act 2. It's all about Act 3.
Right, exactly.
So
you remember what Piper said: give him a strong beginning, give him a strong finish, and they'll forget about the middle.
That's true. Although this was a fucking good middle.
I think
I like this middle because we're scratching.
Our beginning was just like such bullshit. It's like it was
this
just
is all Thor's fault.
Seriously, it was like inside jokes that no one will get.
Right. Well, you know what? It's my fucking podcast. So if I want to release something like that for my own amusement because I thought it was a fun conversation, that's what I'm going to do.
And it was a fun conversation.
Right. Joe Rogan has his fucking friends on there that nobody's ever heard of, and they have fascinating conversations.
Right.
So I'm not mad at it. But so let's bring it to a close.
Yeah, but now because of this though, now I have so many more questions related to Tough Enough that's related to all this. I'll remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Write them down.
Yeah.
Was remember that one at the gym that you had that you were like, I want to. Okay, great.
I remember that one.
Okay, cool.
I remember that one. Yeah, we're working out. I'm getting ready to ask you. Like, no, that's a perfect question for the podcast.
Well, no, you didn't even tell me what the question was.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, you said it.
I was getting ready to say it.
Yeah,
I was getting ready to say it, and I was like, no, I'm not going to ask that.
Yeah, no, don't. Save them all. Oh my god, I'm so fucking excited to come back for round 3.
So many questions.
I can't wait, and we are going to get deep. It just feels. I can tell.
I'm going to be able to ask you questions that no one else will be able to ask.
Right,
because they don't have that perspective.
Right, and I can't wait. I might cry. You might actually get to some deep shit.
That's my goal now.
Oh, well,
because I'm gonna be brutal. Because there's things there's things I genuinely want to know.
Yeah,
and again, because I have a perspective that no one else you have talked to, and no one else you have talked to, or no one else you are going to talk to has.
I guess that's fair because every time I'm a wedding officiant, I go for tears. I'm like, if I don't get tears, then I didn't do my job. So, this has been a fucking pleasure. I mean, as much fun, if not even more so than the first one because it wasn't at 1 a.m.
Right.
And I wasn't,
we weren't like
after a 4-hour drive. Yeah, you too. You were half delirious.
Yeah, I literally, because I have like legitimate insomnia. Like I don't sleep. And at that point, like I'd been up for like 2 or 3 days or something.
Oh God. Yeah. Both of us were in bad shape, but
yeah, I
am absolutely positive that I will either be back down here
that's inevitable.
On my way, exactly.
Yeah, it's not if, it's when.
So like I said, I've got an interview with the executive producer. We're tentatively scheduled for May the 4th. Be with you.
Nice.
And thank you. And so he's in LA. So if I do end up, and I have to so I've got this show. I'm not even going to say the show because this episode is going to drop after the show. But I've got the show in Vegas. I have to drive back to the Bay for a commercial shoot.
Right.
And then there's a good chance I'm going to have to drive right back down to LA to do this interview,
which if nobody knows, like you have to drive through here to get to LA. So you have to drive through here.
Exactly. So I'm either going to stop here on my way down or on my way up. And we should also go to Grill and Mall.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And get a fucking D. Snyder because it's the most delicious thing in the world. Peanut butter and jelly burger. Don't fucking hate.
No, it's
yuck
brilliant.
On my yum. It's amazing.
You know what else is good? Peanut butter and sriracha.
I'm not big on sriracha.
It's oh my god.
I might have to try it.
Friends.
I don't know. But we are.
We are.
And I appreciate you. I love you. Remind people where they can follow you on social media if you want to be bothered by them.
No, yeah, I do want to be bothered at Straight Edge Juggernaut. Instagram, best way to find me. I actually don't even remember my Twitter because
I'm pretty sure I saw it earlier today and it was FYF
it's
Juggernaut.
FYF
Find
Juggernaut.
Your fire.
Yeah, FYF Juggernaut. Yeah, I don't use Twitter that much.
I think you had like 5 tweets and one of them was like when you got endorsed by Dynamic Muscle.
Right.
And was like, hey, you posted a before and after picture.
Right.
So if you want to see a before and after of John's amazing transformation, I think it was like 480 and change and then 220 and change.
Yeah, it was 48 and 220 and change.
So check it out. It's amazing. But Straight Edge Juggernaut. Fine. FYF Juggernaut on Twitter, but Straight Edge Juggernaut.
Straight Edge Juggernaut was taken on Twitter, which is weird because I probably need to change or something. I don't know. But Straight Edge Juggernaut on Instagram.
Cool.
Best way to get hold of me.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Catch you next time on Tough Talk with AJ Kirsch.
Goodbye.
That was fun. I'm so stoked now. Like I do want to get into the real.
No, yeah, it's like the funny thing is, it's like now it's like I feel like we've laid that groundwork. Next time we can just boom, like dive right into it.
Yeah,
and like I seriously have like so many, and I've thought of other questions now because of what we were just talking.
And
about.
I'm sure it's gonna make for some good shit.
Yeah,
pal. I'm so pissed.
Why?
That shitty Mortal Kombat movie made it back around to the podcast. God damn it. Fuck that. Not a fan, but that's okay.
Yeah. I liked it. Again, world building. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that was Nathan Jones.
That was Nathan Jones. Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, it didn't look like him really, but
no, he's gone on to do like a few like acting things.
Yeah,
which was funny because like
he was in Troy.
Yeah, UPW. Like that was also there. Like Rick Bassman. Like he was like a casting agent, and he because what's his name? Do you remember Schwag? Do you remember Big Schwag? He was a UPW. He was a referee at UPW.
I don't.
He ended up in like Sons of Anarchy and like
wow. Yeah.
I
know Jack Black went to UPW to train for Nacho Libre.
Nacho Libre, yeah.
I know that was a thing.
Yeah, I remember. I went and saw Nacho Libre at the theater right down the street from here with Human Tornado, who was in the movie.
Oh, that's right.
And the funny thing, I was with Billy Blade, Human Tornado, I think Joey Ryan.
Yeah.
Like, because there was like this afternoon show, at a Mercado Latino, like not far from here. We went and saw Lucha Libre at this Dollar Theater, and we all laughed so hard, like towards the beginning when the promoter walks up after his first match and hands him an envelope full of money. That was the funniest part of that movie.
You're like, fuck off.
Yeah, like all of us, like without even we all just genuinely laughed when that happened.
That's funny.
Like that has never happened in the history of wrestling.
Right.
Dude has this first match, and the promoter walks up with just a handful. Delilah, stop. Promoter walks up with just a handful of money.
Yeah. Never happened.
No, never. No, never
Maybe
happened.
Bad Bunny, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't watch the match, but I heard he did really well.
He did really, really well. Like honestly, like he really set the bar for like celebrity involvement in wrestling matches.
That's
here.
cool.
I'm gonna give you something that'll help with that.
What, this cord?
Yeah.
Okay. No more twist ties for me like a sucker?
Nope.
Oh my god. Oh, hey, look at that. Gotta cut the video.